If you hear this sound, don't move. My whole body froze the moment I heard it, a soft, slow clicking like a fingernail tapping on a glass bottle, but wrong, as if the sound came from inside the house and from under the floor at the same time. It started 3 rooms away and then moved, like a bug crawling on the ceiling. My heart slammed so hard I thought it would break the silence. I had been told the warning 1,000 times, not by a stranger, not on TV, but by my own voice in a note I found weeks before. If you hear this sound, don't move. I had laughed then. Now, the words burned in my head. Don't move, whispered someone right behind me. The breath on my neck was cold. It wasn't on my skin, but I felt it like a shadow. My feet were glued to the floor. I could not lift my eyes. The sound kept clicking, counting down slowly, patiently. I could hear my own blood in my ears, louder than the tap. The light in the hallway flickered once and steadied, making long, black teeth out of the shadows. The wooden floorboard by the doorway creaked as if a giant, invisible animal had just stepped on it, and then the clicking stopped, as if it had noticed me listening. Time stretched. A single second chewed like a minute. A cat would have run. A brave man would have turned. I did nothing. The whisper behind me said my name, soft and flat. Mark. My lips wanted to scream. The whisper wasn't my neighbor, or my sister, or anyone I knew. It was my voice, but older, tired, as if someone had played a recording of me and left it in a dark room to rot. I tasted metal, and the smell of rain filled my head though the windows were dry. Then the whisper moved away. The door at the end of the hall slowly opened by itself, but it didn't make the usual creak. It slid like a paper screen, almost silent. A small, circular light rolled across the floor like a marble, stopping halfway between me and the doorway. The clicking started again, closer now, and the marble light seemed to pulse with each tap. When I finally blinked, because my eyes were stinging with the effort not to, there was nothing in the doorway but my own dark hallway, and the light had stopped. The whisper came back, but this time it said, 1 step, and the voice sounded miles away. I could not move. I could not breathe. The rules from that note filled my mind. Do not step. Do not speak. If the sound moves, breathe shallow. Wait it out. The note had looked simple enough when I found it in a kitchen drawer under a stack of old takeout menus. The paper was crinkled and smelled faintly of smoke. It had no signature. I had almost thrown it away, but the handwriting, my handwriting, had made my stomach drop. It read like a parent leaving instructions, short, urgent, certain. For weeks it had been a joke. For weeks I had ignored it. Tonight, every word felt like a life belt. The hallway clock chimed 1 slow, sleepy bell. Outside, a car passed on the road and the tires hissed. Nothing else moved. I listened for the clicking, but it had turned into a hush, like sheets sliding off a bed across the house. My muscles trembled with the effort to be still. I counted breaths like a farmer counting sheep. In, out. In, out. The world narrowed to the beat of my breath and the little circle of light at the doorway. How did it get here? I thought. How did the sound find me now? To tell the whole truth of that night, I have to go back to the beginning, to the week before, to the small town of Ridgefield where nothing much happens and everyone knows your name. Ridgefield was the kind of place where porches had rocking chairs and people left keys in the mailbox for each other. I had lived there all my life, and the house I was in belonged to my grandmother, a narrow, 2-story place with a loose stair and a map of old scratches in the banister. When she died, the house went to me. I liked the quiet. I liked the attic where the summer heat slept and the backyard where the maple tree scratched at the fence like a neighbor's opinion. A month before that night, I noticed small things, quiet enough to be ignored, big enough to make the skin on my arm prickle. My phone would ring at 2 in the morning with no call. The answering machine would have breath, a soft scrape, and then a click. Once, I found my keys on the counter when I was sure I had left them in my coat pocket. Once, the radio turned itself to static for an hour, then back to the old station playing an old, scratchy song my grandmother loved. I told myself it was the house settling, the pipes, mice. Ridgefield has old houses. It also has old roads and old tricks. The note changed everything. I found it inside a cookbook in the kitchen, a folded scrap of paper with instructions in my own hand. It said simple things. If you hear the soft clicking, stop. If you are in the bedroom, close the door and stay away from windows. If it whispers your name, do not answer. If it counts, do not move until it stops. It is patient. It is not hungry for you now. Let it be patient too. I kept the note in my wallet because I thought it would be funny to show friends, a ghost hunter's checklist. But I never showed it. Then the neighbor, Mrs. Haley, who walks her dachshund at dawn, mentioned something in passing. You live in the old Thompson house, right? Be careful. People say things happen there at night. She said it like town gossip, and I answered like a man who knew better. But I did not know better. The house had been quiet for years. No one at the funeral talked about anything strange. Still, the idea of something patient and listening, waiting in the corners because no one used them anymore, settled into my chest like a small stone. For 2 weeks, I started to check doors twice. I left lights on in rooms I wasn't in. I told myself stories about drafts and faulty wiring. I replayed the note until it lost meaning, its words eroded by repetition. It is patient, the paper said. It is not hungry for you now. I would read that and feel foolish and brave at the same time. The week turned into the night the sound came. I had been up late, editing video for a friend's YouTube channel, a stupid little horror sketch we made for fun, and the house hummed with the laptop's fan. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table. The maple outside put its long fingers against the window and said nothing. At 1:59 a.m., the clock on the microwave clicked like a tiny, bored mechanic and the entire house inhaled. I heard a soft scratch over the hum of the fan. I froze and remembered the note. For a moment I smiled at myself for being a coward. Then the scratch became the clicking, slow, careful, as if someone were testing my patience. I went to the hallway to see where the sound was coming from and stopped at the doorway when the whisper hit my ear for the first time. It wasn't a person's voice I recognized. It said, "Mark." I thought I was hearing things. Then the whisper said, "Don't move." I laughed quietly, embarrassed by my fear, and leaned to peek around the corner. Something cold touched my ankle. That's when I felt the breath on my neck, and the marble light rolled in the hall and locked me in place. Now I was back in the present, my feet glued to the floor, listening to the house breathe. The rules from the note were the only thing between me and something I could not see. The clicking began again, louder, closer. Tap, tap, tap. It paused. My mouth went dry. The whisper, that tired version of me, counted under its breath. 1. I did not move. 2. I did not move. The light in the doorway blinked twice, like an eye closing. 3, it said, and the house felt like it was folding in on itself. A slow knock sounded from behind the closed pantry door. Not the front door, not any human door. A thin, gentle knock that sounded like someone tapping the side of the wall from inside. The whisper stopped and a new sound started, a low, almost musical hum that thrummed in my teeth. The pantry handle turned on its own, but the door stayed shut. The marble light rolled halfway across the hallway and stopped at my shoes. The clicking started again, now right under my foot, small and neat like the sound of a key finding a lock. I wanted to move. I wanted to run. I wanted to do everything that my body would not let me do. My mind searched for something to break this rule, a reason to move that would make sense. The whisper, patient as an old clock, breathed, "Do not step." The pantry handle clicked one more time, and then the kitchen sink began to drip in a slow, patient rhythm, a new sound layering over the old clicking, a drumbeat that matched the pulse in my throat. Then, in the kitchen behind me, the light snapped out, and the house went black as a lid. The marble light in the hall rolled faster, then stopped so close to my toes I could feel a cold that was not the floor. The whisper came again, flatter now, like a tape stuck on the same groove. "If you hear this sound, don't move." For the first time since the clicking began, I thought I heard something else, a voice from the pantry, or under the stairs, or from the walls. It did not speak my name. It sounded like my grandmother humming the tune from a song she used to sing, the one that always made me sleepy. It reached for me with small, warm fingers. I did not want to be real. I felt my breath hitch, felt the rule in the note hold like a hand on my shoulder. Then, from somewhere beneath the floor, a different sound answered the hum, a low, distant voice repeating a number, slow and calm, like someone marking time for an ocean wave. 4. The marble light jumped. The pantry door shook. The whisper said, softer now than anything, move and it will follow.